went platform. TV. Oh yeah. Unale we pledge, we love and loyalty. To we sweet, sweet mama Salone. Now we all come together as well. For tomorrow, now we go make Salone.
We shall have a comprehensive look at the developments around the election as we count down to Sierra Leone State with destiny.
Women clamored and got a law that provides 30% minimum quota in governance. Will that be achieved this June?
Well, one thing is clear. The nation has begun its conversation that will culminate a date with its destiny on the 24th of June. How much will change by then? And what shifts within the political landscape are we going to see?
Find out more on the nation's biggest and most trusted news source, AYV, on Channel 33, on DSTV Channel 399, on Radio 101.7 FM, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and of course on TikTok.
Yes, indeed. Only AYP. Because AYP, Naim Salone Sabi.
All right, welcome back. This is Wake Up Sierra Leone here on AYV television and radio. And we encourage you to be a part of the program on Facebook. Search for AYV News. And that's the platform you can be a part of the program by dropping a comment or question, which we read out during the conversation.
Right, in our first segment this morning, we're going to discuss the role of young people in building peace and national cohesion ahead of the June 24th polls. Now in the studio, we've been joined by Mohammed Orman Bangura, Minister of Youth Affairs. Good morning and welcome to the show, Mr. Minister.
Good morning, AYV. Good morning, Sierra Leoneans.
Right, we have Musa Khalil Kroma, Founder and Executive Director, Global Youth Network. Musa, good morning and welcome to Wake Up Sierra Leone.
Good morning, Samuel. Thanks for having me.
All right, gentlemen, just before we come, let us predicate our conversation on this story, looking at the vulnerability of young people, issues of violence that Marina Terry did for us.
Team this year, back to power about 2023, whether you like it or not. Everything our world, yeah. Everything our world, yeah.
This is just the tip of the iceberg. The misuse and abuse of youth during elections is a serious issue. Political parties are taking advantage of the vulnerability of young people to further their own interest. These rallies are often filled with young people who have been promised money or other incentives to attend. They are often made to participate in violent and illegal activities. This is what Andrew Laverly, Executive Director for the Institute for Governance Reform, told me.
At least 60% of the registered voters are young people. Too often, after elections, they get nothing. Age is not on their side. The Constitution allows you or requires you to reach a certain stage before voting, to reach a certain stage before you even give an appointment. So it's not just Sierra Leone. Around the world, when you look at institutions such as Parliament, hardly do you see up to 5% of young people occupying Parliament. Yet they are at the forefront. They trailblaze campaigns for all political parties. They innovate. You see them in social media because they want to stamp their character on the country. They want to shape the destiny of the country. So you see them, some even involved not only in social mobilization, political mobilization, but even shaping content on how campaigns are being developed. I think, and too often, the conversation around young people is ignored in politics. Young people in health, young people in education, young people in employment, but we have quite a lot of them that have their children studying in Britain and America and waiting to come and replace them. And yet you have young people going after their opponents, killing, sometimes even destroying them, serving as marshals around politicians. But don't get me wrong, there are many, many good young people in Sierra Leone. As a matter of fact, the vast majority of Sierra Leonean youth are really good. Some are in schools, some are in colleges, some are looking for jobs, some want to better off for their families. But too often, just a few engage in maybe violent protests for the sake of intellectual convenience. We brush all of them with the same brush. We call them youth. So there are things we can do. So how do we promote conversation around building bridges of tolerance and accommodation among young people in SLPB and APs? And for us, we believe that encouraging young people to go and sit by the radio, go and sit by the television, and listen to the policy proposals of politicians could be a way out.
I decide for supporter because you don't do for a great thing at the ground. We know say Papa taking first time, it not be easy for him, but Papa, he don't really try, he don't work. He don't work for we, and he still a work for the nation back. Employee now this too much airport when Alunge, where everybody go there. Then except for we license at the ground, over almost people over 50 to 12 man license. No party no the way don't carry with so Papa a great job for we. Employ most people in Alunge will go now the Suma airport and all man gain in benefits. So now I decided for support Julius Madabio this trip 2023.
Well, I decided for support him because of I like him. And because of a man from doing since APC days, we don't see what's in the gun at this country, the development of infrastructure they go on, within the tick of them. Make man all the benefits and me I hope all what gets on inside the party. I love the party so much, and I do all my interest I get for them. And one thing back is again, from where Ernest Koeman made in a power, waiting me left for we won't be the manage, and so now two different things. And I go find where we young boys so all and work. But me like one, I go to UNICEF for go find job. Then test me everything. But after when they watch my name na Abdul Ture, say becoming a woman or whatsoever. The boy then go give the test. We then go give the Moscow. If fail the test, the test I fail. Me will pass the test and not give me the job. Then go give the young man the job.
As we can see here, young people are often used as tools during elections by political parties for their own interest and craft that asks their participation in politics. This is a dangerous game that is being played with the lives of young people, exploitation and limiting their potentials due to their vulnerability. The youth need to be empowered in order to make informed decisions and to stand up against this kind of exploitation. Ngolo Carter is the Commissioner, National Youth Commission for Sierra Leone.
So part of what we're looking at as the role of political parties, first of all, is to ascribe to ensuring that they do not bring young people into violence. They must not recruit them, instigate them, fund them to get involved or drug them to get involved in elections violence. And that is one of the core issues. And we'll also say to the young people, do not accept those kinds of prepositions. Afterwards, you are the largest demographics, to be voting. So your ballots is your power. Don't allow political parties to involve you into getting into violence, or else you're going to get distracted.
The discontent among the youth is already simmering given the economic crisis sparked by the rise in global oil prices caused by the Russian-Ukraine war and compounded by the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. We cannot afford to wait for another 5 years for the launch of the next youth policy. Marina Terry, AYV News, Freetown.
Welcome back. Many thanks to Marina Terry for putting that story together. We have the Minister of Youth Affairs, Mohammed Oman Bangura, and the Founder Executive Director for Global Youth Network, Musa Khalil Kroma, with us in the studio. Now, Mr. Minister, let's start off. First off, what's the current state of affairs with the youth, specifically in terms of how they've been able to conduct themselves since the declaration of the date for elections to now having few days to polling day?
Yeah, thank you very much, Samuel. There has been tremendous progress. I'm looking at we are coming from 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and looking at the structures we've set in place since 2018, young people representation in different political platforms, young people representation in communities, young people representation in cabinets, parliament. There's been tremendous progress in terms of progress, how young people conduct themselves towards 2023 election, June 2023 election. I mean, one thing I know, this election will be one of the most peaceful elections because the structures are there, and it's about perception. How many young people really have? How many young people are really on social media? Those, like Andrew Lavali was saying, you have a pocket of young people that believe in politics, do or die. It's my party, it's my time, it's my progress. And you have those progressive young people that he did make mention of that. Let's talk about the issues. Let's talk about why we should vote Samuel Kamara. Let's talk about why we should vote President Julius Malabio. Let's talk about what is it that is affecting me? What is my role? What is it that I need to do to transform my destiny? What is it that I need to do to change my story? That's why I realized that it's very difficult today to convince young people to come to the streets. Don't get it wrong. You have a set of young people that believe that it's a do or die. It's it's only politicians that will change my story. Without politicians, there is nothing to do. Talk about young people in entrepreneurship, young people in agriculture, young people in TVET, young people in university. I remember a couple of days ago, I was at Fabi College with a couple of some honorable members of parliament, Honorable Abukago, Honorable AKK, and we had a conversation. They were surprised to know that Honorable Abukago happens to be my squad in university, while Honorable AKK was on the other side in university, while myself and Abukago were fighting Honorable AKK, the student union government. Today, Honorable Abukago and AKK are fighting to take my position. So it was fun all over. I mean, these are kind of progressive. I'll tell you, since they declared campaign open, there's been progress, and there are a whole lot of people that ask for the issues. Why am I voting? What is it that His Excellency Retired Brigadier Julius Malabia has done? What is it that the APC government did before in Timni? We say, Kompoya, what you don't do? The other man asks, which you don't do. Why you? That's the message.
And on that road of what you've done and what you're doing, what's the Ministry of Youth Affairs currently doing to sort of reach out to young people with elections messages of how to carry themselves, their role, rights, and responsibilities during this period?
A lot has been done, and I want to take this opportunity to thank our partners. I'll tell you, Fabian, there's been tremendous trust from our development partners and our young people in the ministry. I mean, for you to have a peace building fund, like for instance, the Youth Athletics Fund, that we got about $3 million implemented by UNDP and UNFP and FAO. We go right across the country and spreading our message, getting youth peace group message groups, setting out messages. We've been in this period like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It has been ongoing, and even a couple of days ago, I just signed another contract and agreement with another peace building fund, which is about $1.2 million again, and it has to do with bike riders. You realize that when you have bike riders, you have 1,233 or so registered bike riders. Each and every one of them carry 2 or 3, 4, 5 passengers a day. When you bring these young people, tell them the messages, tell them the peace messages, tell them the progressive messages, tell them that, come on, your destiny is in your hand. I mean, if you hit a Sierra Leonean today, you slap your brother today for just one day election, after election, 350 days, why would you tell that your brother? So those messages, like you asked, the progress that we've done before, I'll tell you, so much has been done. The Youth Council at chiefdom level, every chiefdom has got youth representative today. And I'm proud to tell you that you have 170 to 80 except bikes given to them to represent young people. So the message, the structures has been there since 2018. So selling those messages with community ownership. What has been the problem? You can't sit here in Freetown, you sell a message to my brother at Kolifagowala. What we've done for the past couple of years, and thanks to His Excellency the President for believing those structures that young people need to be representing themselves. Look at the University Act today. You can't believe that young people sit in Senate today. In those days, they take decision, they rusticate people just because those stakeholders believe this should be done. But we step in and realize young people need to be represented. Young people should sit at the decision-making table, and young people should take their destiny into their own hands. So the ministry, National Youth Commission, as I speak, the current election ongoing process, the National Youth Commission, through NEC, through EU, and other partners, UNDP, are currently down the field implementing election projects. It has never happened. Go back to history. 2018, nobody calls the Ministry of Youth to discuss about elections. Nobody called the structures. Nobody will send money to ministries and agencies of youth to implement electionary process. Today, we are enjoying that. It's because of the trust and confidence through the presidency and our partners and young people themselves. And the level of transparency and accountability and trust that we are pushing today.
All right. Let hear from Musa. What's your assessment so far with regards youth involvement in politics, incidents of violence since the campaigns and all of that?
Let me start on a note to tell you that this 2023 elections is the elections for the youth. We've had times without number, people quoting statistics that we have a huge number of over 60% of registered voters between the age of 18 and 35. That tells you that for this particular election, the dynamics is that it is the youth that are going to make the kings, that are going to appoint the leaders. So I'll tell you for sure, it depends on the mindset, it depends on the orientations, it depends on the perception, it depends on the readiness of young people to channel their concerns. Few months, maybe before now, I'll tell you that maybe if young people want to see political leaders, they'll give them excuses, we are busy, etc. But now the political leaders want to see the young people. And I think it's now the young people have to make it very clear to the political leaders or the aspirants to tell them that we are the kingmakers. We have the power. We are going to give you the power. Imagine 60% of young people, let's say 67 or 69, almost 70%. So if that 70% gives their support to just one political party or one political leader, you're automatically a leader. For the past few weeks since I came back from the EcoSoc Forum at the United Nations, I was consulted by the National Youth Commission under the Fostering Peaceful, Credible and Inclusive Elections project that is funded by the UNDP, EU, Irish Aid, government of Canada, and etc., other partners. And one thing that is unique, I was consulted to develop a framework for the establishment and operationalization of the Youth Lab. It's a very innovative idea wherein 50 young people were selected all around the country. They came together and they were trained on several issues around youth non-violence, peace building, etc., etc. And it was not just for them to go back and engage on community engagement, but to engage on social media, because social media is one of the platforms where hate messages are transmitted. So these young people were empowered for 3 days workshop, and after which grants were awarded to these young people of $10,000 each, 5 groups. And what I did as the consultant was to ensure that all the 50 young people that came across all the 16 districts and the 5 regions were involved, actively involved, to go back and send out messages. And I'll tell you for sure, Samuel, that this is one of the most consultative experience I've got in terms of youth engagement, in terms of youth taking lead to engage their fellow youth. Young people.
Yeah, go ahead.
In that consultation, how did you tackle the disparity in how youths are approached? And considering the categories, you have youths who are, literates, they're in schools. You have those who are dropouts. How did you tackle the disparity in approaching them with the message?
Okay, so that's the uniqueness of what the engagement was all around. Because, Sierra Leone is not just Freetown, or Sierra Leone is not just Creole or English. You have people who, like you said, different categories. They might not even understand what I'm saying. Somebody might be watching TV and don't even understand common English, not to talk about Creole. Like me as a person, as an individual, my organization, we've been in all of the districts. There are some districts we go, except we have to get an interpreter, even if we want to talk Creole. You understand? So what we did, in fact, very soon, maybe this week, the peace message will be coming out. What we did is to use our local languages. So we are able to transmit peaceful messages in Mende, in Kono, in Timni, in Limba, everywhere. So being that, like I said, the dynamics was that we got young people from all around the country, including female, including poor. In fact, of course, you know Monica Yeni Galiwa. She was one of the ones who won the grant. In fact, she's the one that won the grant for Western area, and she'll be working with a whole lot of other young people to implement that project before, during, and after the election. So we have several approaches to use. Of course, we want the UNDP has been actually focused for them to really effectively engage social media during, before, and even after the elections. But also there are other activities they will be engaging, whether road shows, peace concerts,
let's just quickly talk about the social media. It appears to be the platform for mobilization now. So I can be in Kenema, I can be in Makeni, you be in Freetown, and we'll be able to mobilize and do things that are cynical to the state, to its peace and security. How much of an impact do you think that the project these young people are implementing can have in securing and protecting the peace of the state? Because social media appears to be the new menace.
Yeah, so like I said initially, that's why UNDP was actually pushing for these young people who are targeted and trained to actually engage the social media, because it's envisaged that definitely during the elections, a lot of messages will come out from social media, whether fake results, whether inciting statements,
Right.
you know, whether provocative issues. So they want these young people to lead their own affairs in terms of them developing content of peace messages, content of changing the mindset of young people. Because whether we like it or not, you know, this is not the first elections Salone is having. We've had several other kinds of elections. And wherever you go, somebody has to win. And we have to accept it. Let me tell you something. Since, let me say, for the past few weeks or 1 month or 2 months, all developmental issues have been stalled because donors are not releasing funds. So we have to be mindful that if we don't try to get out away from elections and begin to think development, then we're doing ourselves. We are delaying our own progress. So young people has to develop that mindset to know that we need to trash elections and let's move ahead. Somebody has to win.
Let me ask the minister this question. I know the primary focus is engaging young people on how they should behave and keep the peace. But how much of an effort have we made to engage those who would come to us and tempt us, give us the incentives, you the politicians? How much of an engagement have you had with politicians so that, I mean, they ease the temptation? Because if I'm hungry, if I'm desperate, when you approach me with something, it's tempting. And it's very likely that I might just give in or take into consideration my state at the point. So how much of an engagement would you or have you been getting with these politicians?
Yes, Samuel, before answer that question, let me just talk a bit about the project Kale was talking about. You realize that when I was blessed by His Excellency the President to serve the ministry, I made it very clear that prior to this time, you have one institution, they think that every money that has to do with youth should go directly to them. And I told them, look, you will only be successful, only get it right when you empower grassroots young people, grassroots institutions, by giving them money for them to go down there and implement. So it's as a result of that, it's a peace building fund. And when they came for the consultation about this project, I told them, go meet these beneficiaries, go talk to them. At the end of the day, ensure that they themselves implement. So if you're giving out 200 million right across all these young people, all these grassroots institutions, it's because of the leadership. It's because of what you sell is what our partners will buy.
Right.
Yes. So when you talk about engagement in leadership in at the political level, we've done a lot. Like I made mention about the Youth Council. When you look at the Youth Council, you have children youth leaders at every chiefdom. Whether you're APC, whether you're SAPP, the young people in that chiefdom have to vote you in. And the returning officer for that election happens to be the paramount chief. Every paramount chief or region chief across the country has to sign that, yes, these young people has been voted for to support, to represent young people in my chiefdom. That on its own tells you how democratic the election was. You have young people at chiefdom youth leaders that are APC, young people at chiefdom youth leaders that are NGC, and different areas. So when you talk about engagement, the political parties, few months ago, was it 1 month or 2 months ago, we gave a very huge fund to the APIA, All Political Party Youth Association. It's from the Ministry of Youth Affairs. Yeah, we sent money to them. They invited all political parties. We engaged at the special court building where young people said, look, politics, it's not a do or die thing. Politics, it's a science. You have to get it right. It's not an event. When you get it right, you don't need to kill yourself for what you're not sure of. So when you talk about how the ministry has engaged stakeholders, the ministry, government of Sierra Leone, sending it directly to APIA, all political party, youth association. And they said that it has never happened for funds to move from the Ministry of Youth Affairs to APIA. I did all of that because I believe in transparency. I believe in dialogue. I believe in tolerance. That is to say, we should always continue to create a platform where people should express their view, their opinion. I may disagree with you, but that doesn't mean you are my enemy. That's the kind of things that we are pushing. And so far, it has been working because I'm one person that believes giving the platform to young people to implement, giving the platform to financing them, allow them to take responsibility. At the end of the day, nobody will blame XYZ because I'll say, well, you're part of it. We sent money to you. We gave, as it speaks, just like Kali was talking, you have young people receiving 200 million in different angles to spread out the message. If you fail to implement, they hold yourself responsible at the end of the day.
And coming back to that, this is electioneering period. Suspicions are high. It seems everybody is suspicious of everyone. Everything is looked at with a telescope. How was the decision made to first the youths that were brought on board to participate and the disbursement and allocation of those funds?
Thank you so much, Phoebe. That's a very salient question. So in the first place, like I said, I was consulted to develop a framework, and the framework actually was to spell out the processes, procedures, and everything. And what we did was firstly to put out a call for participants. It was shared widely, and we had a total of 298 people that applied to be part of the process, to be part of the youth lab. And among that 298, I think we had about 70-something female, and we have a total of, the other one was male. We have a total of 13 persons with disability that applied. But like I said, it was a nationwide application. So those that applied, we had a committee, a selection committee that was formed, 7-man committee, including the UNDP, including a civil society organization, including an organization represented by a person with disability, including the youth council, etc., including a youth IT person. You understand? So we had 2 days to look at the applications, where we had 2 ways to apply. One was on Google Form, 2 was for you to do a 2-minute video and submit it with your innovative idea as to what you want to do, because the idea was for you to go back and engage other young people in terms of preaching non-violence messages, in terms of active youth participation in politics, in terms of active youth participation during the elections process. So after this, the shortlisting process, we now submitted a report to the National Youth Commission that XYZ have been shortlisted because they met the criteria, they are youth leaders, they already have the ideas, and these ones are the ones that we have shortlisted, and we submitted a list, and they now call them to an engagement. After the 3 days engagement, they had 2 consultants that trained them on peace building, on social media engagement, on several issues, on how to develop social media content, several issues. After that 3 days engagement, we had a pitching competition where we allowed them to pitch as they wish, either as an individual, either they pitch as a region, or either they pitch as a district. So people came out and we had 8 pitchers. 5 or 4 of them pitched as a region. They all came together. So let's say those that came from the north, Bombali, maybe Koinadugu, Falaba, and Tonkolili, they pitched together. And others who also came from the south, the east, they also pitched. And we had a panel of judges, 7 panel of judges from the UNDP, from the Independent Commission for Peace, from a disabled organization, from a civil society organization, from a youth organization. So, and after they had all of these judges have a marking sheet, and they did mark according to your pitch. And at the end of the day, we collected all of the marks and we added them and divided them by percentage. And that was how we got who was the first person who came first. Like for Western area, we had 2 people that pitched. We had the Western area, well, I call it the network, those that came together, all the organizations that took part for Western area. And also we had an individual who pitched singularly. So those that came from the Western area got a total of 93, and I think the second person got 90, etc. So after which the committee did the analysis, we submitted a report to to the National Youth Commission as to the grading of the judges. And after which we submitted the report, and the National Youth Commission now looked at the report according to who came first on each region, and they gave out the grant.
Let's piggyback on the beginning of the whole process. How was the opportunity advertised?
Okay, so because it was a short period opportunity, like I said, as soon as I came back from the US, like I just met this consultancy, I applied and all this stuff. So when I developed the call for proposal, it was shared widely on social media. It was shared because I was only consulted and paid as a consultant. I was not. We actually shared it, but I was not given money to like run the process. It was the commission that ran the process themselves. So what the instruction they gave was to share the advert on social media. And fortunately for us, like I said, we run a network of organizations all around the country. We've implemented projects with UNDP, UNFP, where we have platforms, we have forums where you have young people represented in every region, every district. And you have, whether they are youth leaders, youth council, youth organizations. So we shared it and we asked them to further share. So it was I think it was a week long. We put out a call for proposal and people applied. And like I said, 2 applications. One was on Google Form and the other one was you send a 2-minute video. And all of those were collated. We looked at all the videos. We went to all the Google Forms and we shortlisted and choose. Well, not really the best, but the people that we thought were the right people to go back and share the message.
To you today for the past 5 years, when it comes to selection of beneficiary for young people, I'm one person that is very conscious about that. And I always tell every stakeholder in the youth sector, if you don't want sonko, that aspect of selecting, let you know who don't work. Let you know how take over. By so doing, that's why you didn't hear about any mishap, even after selection. When you allow young people to come publicly, you pitch, you sell yourself, you realize that even when you are selected, you know that I work for it. It's not because I have somebody standing somewhere. And that's the beauty we'll be enjoying. You heard from the conversation that after collating everything, the National Youth Commission has very little or nothing to do in the selection process, rather than just endorsing the reports given to them.
Another thing that comes up is monitoring. Who monitors the beneficiaries to ensure that no one person doesn't just come, or a group of people come and, pitch beautiful ideas. Once they receive funds, they sit on it and do personal things and avoid doing the actual work that the funds were actually meant for. Who monitors?
So let me help you with that. For the ministry, the ministry happens to be the moral guarantor for every youth fund project that comes in Sierra Leone. Most times, diversifying this implementation, I always reach out to, I have individual monitoring, like a third-party monitoring that will tell you, I give my honest opinion, do spot check. Say, for instance, the entrepreneurship grant that was given. After the UNDP went to the field, after giving the 30%, they went to the field and do their monitoring. The ministry will go to the field again, do independent monitoring. Backed by civil society, other organizations, we open our platforms to get first-hand information. And at any point in time, I will not stop at any length to instruct termination of whatever you're getting. I mean, you can have something.
So specifically for this project, the donors and the National Youth Commission have actually assigned the National Youth Council to be the monitors. The council is a structure that is in every district, every chiefdom, every village, and they are let me use the word moral guarantors in terms of youth leadership in the district, etc. So, like I said, even there was a unique situation where the president of the youth, who is actually the head of the National Youth Council, he also applied for the grant. So, he's my friend. I tell you, I said, even if you were not supposed to be on the board, on the selection committee, I was going to X your name because it's a conflict of interest for you to be the president, and assuming your idea was good and you end up winning the grant, it will be difficult to decide. Or aspersions. And of course, we need to give opportunity to other young people. You understand? So, unfortunately, he was part of the selection committee. He was part of all the processes, and he saw. In fact, he's doing his work because we have a WhatsApp group where he's in all of the regions. Their WhatsApp group is following up, and they have a network. They have a very strong network, the National Youth Council. So they are actually mandated with the responsibility to monitor this particular project. But notwithstanding, the National Youth Commission is also doing their own bit because they have their own M&E person, and definitely the donors as well, because all of us are part of the forums wherein we are interacting and we're discussing the issues.
Let's run through some messages quickly, gentlemen. We have many messages here this morning. The laws of Sierra Leone is no respecter of anyone. When you go against the laws, be rest assured the law would come after you. Abdullah Jallo is saying.
Yakub Jallo says, because everyone is calling for peace, but what has he done for youths in Uwala Kulifa?
Fred, I'm not going to read that message, but Alusain Toure is saying the most, no. So I'm not sure young people will want to hear you. That's too disrespectful. So Kamara is saying, yes, good morning, Samuel and the beautiful Phoebe and Swill in the studio. We still encourage Sierra Leoneans to go about their normal business. President Bio has already assured us of tight security in the country.
Eddie Grant is asking, is there any monitoring and evaluation team?
Well, Phoebe, you've asked that question for him already.
Yeah.
All right. This is what is still happening as we go to the polls instead of providing them with jobs. Ronald Georgetown is saying.
Ronald again says, whoever forms the next government has a tough task in revamping the economy.
Fofana Saf Sylvester is saying, good morning, Sierra Leoneans. To all youth of this country, if your violence incidents are leading us now, tomorrow with positive behavior would lead the other generation. We can be the best leaders with peace, love, respect. The bad politicians don't want to see us be peaceful. With the positive youth of Sierra Leone, we're saying yes to peace and no to violence. We have one country with one people. Semewise Bangura, we the youth need more psychological support in Sierra Leone. Skills development plans is part of President Bill's working framework. It's a great one. Wise one, where you pull your teeth, where you young, where you all your mouth, go shame for open. Okay.
Interesting.
Indeed.
Yokimori Musa says, talking about youth employment in the country does not have any industry to produce goods and services to support youth employment in that country. Most parliamentarians support giving kush, jamba, and others rather than employing youths in the country.
Lamin Bangra is saying they are using the same youth and that they dumped before. Now they have gone to the same youth to use them again. You leaders should be afraid of Allah.
Abbas Bangali says, this is what we want to hear from youths positioning themselves for the takeover.
Ronald Bresford Ignatius Churchton is saying this goes to the two major parties. One hopes that with a coalition government, there might be a change. Remember, I've always said Sierra Leone needs coalition government rather than putting hopes on these two parties that have failed its people in 62 years.
Eddie Grant says, don't blame youth unemployment on COVID and Russia-Ukraine war, please. This has been a perennial problem in our country. Both present and past government didn't cater to the youths. They only used them during campaign and electioneering processes.
Issa Kuroma is saying, you guys want to tell me that the youth are still fools to be used? I don't blame the politicians, honestly.
Sandy Roja says, youths build on your capacity. As such, politicians will always come to you with a win-win situation, not kush among the harmful drugs to consume.
I think we'll take a few more messages. We have many messages here this morning. Ronald is saying, when we have governments that provide jobs and training, bringing investment and property infrastructure with manufacturing, which is not forthcoming in the past 2 decades as we speak, you won't have the hardship people are facing.
Abbas Bangali says, I don't think so. Whether Sierra Leone youth are aware of power in the upcoming elections, some of the youths in Sierra Leone are listening to a man that didn't even complete secondary school education. They don't even know their position in the country. Sierra Leonean youths are lost in transmission. Nobody can talk to them. They're just confused.
All right, two more messages for me to go. We have many. Ronald again is saying, members of this honorable forum, since the campaign started, has anyone known the policies of these two parties? All I see is young men and women running behind vehicles, shouting and getting merry. When many of these people are unemployed and underemployed, who will be forgotten once the elections are over? Now, you tell me that this isn't the pattern of these politicians.
Samuel, please continue.
All right. Good morning, Cyril. Okay, I think I've gone through the Lamin Bangra is saying our leaders should not take the advantage on our youth because they are not educated. How many jobs were created by this government in the last 5 years? What does it that does not mean party affiliations. Any ideas? Question there from Ronald. Many messages.
My last message I'll read is from Yusuf Tarawali. He says, Sierra Leone leaders will only encourage youths when they want to gain power. After power, they will never want to see the youths again.
Forgive me, Joby Bangale Jr. is saying, everyone crying youth employment, but when you employ people, they go and steal from their employer. We youth were not ready yet, Bo. The messages are many. But as we try to round off the conversation, Mr. Minister, as it is now and we go and the stakes are getting higher, what are we doing to protect your sector, the youth sector?
Yes, I'll go back to the last message Fabian just read, that our young people are lost in transmission. I'll go back 20 years ago. How many minors that really participated in the war? Look at the TRC report, page 133 tells you about the picture of young people that we have today. That's the loss in transmission. After the war, how many years we spent rehabilitating, conscientizing, pushing young people to be productive citizens. Yeah, so that's the transmission where we are talking about. What have we done? Another message that asks that young people are not employable. That's what we are pushing. How about the education process? Another text I was asking. That's why His Excellency is talking about human capital development. Yeah, for somebody to be employed, he or she has to be employable. How many young people that we've trained? How many young people that really value education to say, you have to prepare yourself for the unforeseen opportunity. That's what we are pushing, that you should not leave your destiny in the hands of anyone, including your parents. Your destiny should be in your hand. The other text I said, we pull it, we're young, we own an empty. If we're young, you know, prepare yourself, you know, create a platform for you be somebody where Sierra Leoneans and go able access, you go able get job for yourself, you able create things for yourself without politician. Yeah. I get my first job without being a politician, second job without being a politician, third job without being a politician. And nobody no give me, no me mama, no me papa. But it's about how you carry yourself. It's about humility. It's about you preparing yourself, going the extra mile when things are tough and prepare yourself. How many jobs they don't create? Tell me, when this government take power, Africa Mineral, the young work not be ever there. Yeah? SL mining, the mining sector will not be ever there. How many of these we don't create? Yeah. How about the jobs? How about the skill Munafa Fund? How about the National Youth Service? If we talk about what we've done for the past 5 years, trust me, it will be like something to discuss for the entire day. What we are saying is that young people should carry themselves responsibly. You can only eat and dine with kings, queens when you wash your hands clean, prepare yourself to do so. Otherwise, politics is just one day. You talk about what is it that you have young people shout out this. Let's look at the manifestos. Let young people carry APC manifesto, take SLPP manifesto. The chief minister is all over the country selling the SLPP manifesto. Tell, look, this is what I promised. Go back to the previous manifesto. And the Glavali Institute of Governance Reform, let's say the Ministry of Feedback, I've done 90% of what His Excellency the President put in his manifesto. Now he said, let's value agriculture. Trust me, 500,000 jobs. Not easy for do with agriculture. Youth in agriculture, entrepreneurship, access to finance. These are the things that we are pushing for. Go back to the manifesto. Where person come to you, ask them, what you be don't do. Where person can politician come, ask them, what you don't do. In our local language, kompo you are. What you don't do. Komboku you are. What you be don't do. By so doing, let them answer the tough questions. If you have a message, trust me, you will not pushing young people, giving drugs, pushing this. No. We have 10 million messages to tell. just on education. His Excellency President can talk about education for 1-2 hours. Just on entrepreneurship.
Minister, I'm sorry to cut you there. We'll come back to get you to wrap up on that, and we'll get Khalil's response as well on the messages. But for the second hour, before we get to that, we would need to head for news summary. This is Wake Up Sierra Leone here on AYV Television and Radio. We're going back to join Marina Terry in Studio 2 for the news summary. And our team would be out in a moment to also bring you updates as we did yesterday on what Freetown looks like. Welcome back, Marina. News summary.
Very much, Phoebe Sewell and Summerwise Bangura. Now, in our top stories, President Julius Maada Bio has said that winning the non-permanent category seat at the UN Security Council is in fulfillment of the pledge he made to transform Sierra Leone's international reputation and standing. President Bio was speaking at the cocktail organized by Office of the First Lady to celebrate the country's victory in winning the non-permanent seat at the UN Security Council after over 50 years.
When I was elected president in April 2018, I pledged to our people that I will transform Sierra Leone's international reputation and standing. Sierra Leone will bring a wealth of first-hand experience, drawing from an experience in conflict resolution, the role of women in peacekeeping and reconciliation processes, accountability, amnesty, and human rights. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we accede to the UN Security Council with clearly defined objectives that we believe are achievable with transparent international global cooperation within a multilateral rules-based order. Under the theme, partnership, multilateralism, and representative approach to sustain the global peace and security. During our 2-year tenure on the Security Council, we aim to contribute to the mission of the Security Council and the African Union agenda.
The Freetown mayoral candidate of the main opposition, All People's Congress, former Mayor Yvonne Akisoya, has disclosed that if re-elected into office for the second time, she will be focusing accelerating the city's sanitation, tree planting projects, constructing additional markets, and the commencement of the cable car visibility studies in the first 100 days. She made this disclosure during her town hall meeting at the New Brookfield Hotel in Freetown.
The daily sweeping of the streets was stopped. We need to sweep the streets. The streets will be dirty if they're not swept. But we'll also accelerate all our other sanitation interventions. We will use the transfer stations. We will ensure that the construction of the sanitary landfill in Hastings is accelerated. So sanitation will be a priority. We will get back on track. We've made huge progress, and it's easy to forget because with the combination of there being no flood mitigation going on, no street sweeping, the other thing we'll do is we have a project through which we have 65 water kiosks and 15 public toilets being constructed. That will be accelerated. We'll make sure that goes through. And beyond that, I think it's really important that we get back on track with our bid to build additional market, or introducing the postcodes, which is a derivative of the property rate system that we've introduced, the cable car feasibility, which will continue through to March. I have more to do more.
Attention, attention. Are you hungry for the latest insights on politics and good governance issues from the motherland, Sierra Leone? Look no further than Talking Points, your go-to platform for engaging discussions. Subscribe today and let your voice surge. Talking Points is where smart minds come alive. Subscribe now.
Who is inciting violence and unrest in the country.
You ain't see on our house now. You sabi, we will not listen to nobody. That person will listen to him. God will make we. If we not say una dey sit on our house, the way tell us on not gonna can lead the troop. If you can't lead the troop, we go there be now. But no, they can't lead troop. They say, "President, see a little on our Lambo." But the person there, they enjoy life. Then they tell us I will start saying this. You know what's like I'm saying? You dey picking and go for pay school, go for pay college. You know where they bring me that house. Now don't put a calendar by wetin I want. I dey go cook. I dey go cook for me picking there.
You know, my money business and where I can because who say they know you should not the problem not the business. Now they give me money and then I leave. I want to other side for them money and business they give me money.
Coming as CTC. I like to cancel. What's government open and I must for sale. Land no cancel. So I need to list the black matter. I need to list the other possibilities. And the country is so peaceful. Anyhow they do business, they do that.
Well, that's all we have. Back to you in our main studio, Phoebe Swill and Samuel Wise Bangura.
Thank you very much, Marina Terry, for the top stories from the news. Well, it's past 9 o'clock. It's now the second hour of Wake Up Sierra Leone here on AYV television and radio. We're still broadcasting, live streaming on Facebook, AYV News. Drop a comment or a question there, and we would factor them into the conversation. We still have Mohamed Oman Bangura with us in the studio, Minister of Youth Affairs, and we do have Khalil. We're talking about youth involvement in the electioneering process. Before we left off on the news summary, you were making a submission that I had to cut. Sorry, you may continue.
Yes, I was saying that as we move towards election, young people should know very well that your destiny is in your hands. Young people should know that electionary process, elections are just one day. Why do you have to be violent? Why do you have to allow yourself to be used by these selfish politicians? If you believe that, yes, I have a message, let's talk about education. Tell me about your manifesto. Tell me about, you had the two guys when we started the program. See, I like him. This man, me, I believe him. I don't like him so much, you don't suffer for passport. The other one say, oh, this man don't give me work. This man don't build the airport. This man don't bring education. That's the issues. One thing I'll tell you, young people of today, there's gradual processing, awareness and consciousness that, no, if you allow yourself for let it give you, you're gonna go do something bad. At the end of the day, where they hold you, and you get responsible, don't they? Let the politician, where politician can tell you, say, go on street, say, okay, couch you picking. No, we're all going on street. President be where the person campaign, so now you ain't too picking and they go and campaign. Yeah? You back where you say, okay, you come on street, say, okay, couch you picking them, all going on street. These are the things, awareness day, Phoebian. You have few young people that it has perception. When you go down to the provinces, I'll tell you, like Kale was making mention of the structures that were built in 2018, the youth council, youth representation, there's awareness. These guys are going right on. But Phoebian, not to show you every day. 2018 election, nobody not will bring youth institution, give them money, spread out funds for right ground for grassroots institutions and allow them for let them operate on their own. I'm saying this because not to share every day. If you allow now these same young people today, you have them sitting in a position of trust, sending them, giving them funds, supporting them to carry their own stories, to carry their own destiny, to convince those young people that believe in violence, then it's progress. That's what we are asking for second term, for us to continue pushing this country. Education. Again, just on education, and the other few texts we're asking that, oh, even if you want to employ young people, they are not educated. If you want to employ young people, there are no skills. Yes, when we come, you witness the TVET training. Every district, 300, 500 young people. This should be a training project. The access to finance, the Munafa fund. On education alone, you can only be employed when you're employable. That's what we're asking. And we can create all this platform. If you, the individual, don't feel say you're destined down there and the passion for succeed, then that you earn, nobody will change that one day.
All right. Quickly, Khalil.
Yes, I want to reiterate that the youth are the kingmakers for these elections, and we need to take advantage of that. The young people need to maximize that because, like it's been said, the young people make those who registered make the bulge of the population. And one thing that I failed to mention is that in as much as we have the 1% nuisance of young people who can never change, who will always look for such opportunity because that's how they will survive. Because if they themselves, whether politicians go to them or not, they are expecting politicians. But I tell you, there are a lot of young people taking advantage of leadership position. I could tell you, like the former youth chairman in Cambia, he's now aspiring for the chairmanship of the council. We have a young man, one of my mentees in Cambia as well. He made it to the list of potential parliamentarians. We have young people taking leadership positions. So there are a lot of young people doing exceptionally well. Normally, it's common. Every elections have tensions. Political party will intimidate each other. But we see the pictures at Bintumani a few days ago when the president is relating with the oppositions. They are smiling. So it is only we, the young people, that are fighting themselves, but they that are aspiring are not fighting themselves. So we need to learn and we need to be liberated. I think what the young people need to do is to engage. These politicians are coming. They are knocking at their doors. Engage them. Develop your white papers. Develop your positions. When they come and tell you vote for us, okay, yes, we'll vote for you, but XYZ is what we want. Can you sign on this paper, sir? So when you win, we'll remind you about this. This is a reference document. They will sign. You understand? You demand what you want because they are the kingmakers. I think what we need, peace is a gift that we all owe to each other. And development can't wait at all for anyone. Right. So I want to encourage all of us, let's make peace win in this election so we continue the development process.
Thank you very much, Khalil. And as we wrap up, Oman, quickly, we do have, yes, a situation of unemployment, which is not a Sierra Leonean problem, but globally, it seems the solution to that is entrepreneurship, where these youths with skills or education in whatever way can create employment for themselves and other young people. But the barrier to that has always been access to capital. What are the provisions for, we saw, for example, a young lady who graduated, a Zainab lady, who became a carpenter. You have such people who are trying to do something for themselves, which creates employment for other people. But again, access to capital is a challenge. What have you done in that area to help those people who are serious in that domain to grow?
Yeah, Fabian, just by accelerating what we've just done in terms of access to finance, you heard about the UNDP and the Ministry of Youth grant that we gave, about $2 million we already gave. And let's go back to the manifestos, Fabian. Take the SAPP manifesto on youth. His Excellency, the President, priority on youth. How do we get the 500,000 jobs? One of the key priorities is agriculture. The second one has to do with access to finance. When you have young people given access to finance, soft loan, on a single digit, and I'm very pleased and very happy to see that in our manifesto. These are the questions we should ask. The only way we can change, the only way we can create these opportunities for those graduates, those entrepreneurs, is for them to get soft loan, is for them to have single-digit loan, is for them, say for instance, agriculture loan. Give a young man 3 billion, 4 billion, say, let me give you this loan for 4 years. Let me give you this loan 4 years on a single digit. But then they change this country. Yeah, I bet you with my life, Fabian, we get young, progressive Sierra Leoneans, we believe in entrepreneurship, we believe, say, give me 2 billion, give me 5 billion. Trust me, you have the young people in there, we don't get these ideas. When you give them, you create a platform for them. And one thing I'll show Sierra Leonean, the know-who is not going to work. The know-how in the work for letting you access to finance. Now we have about $1.something million that very soon, just after election, we see the advert. Not to even the ministry, don't do the platform, don't do everything. A financial institution, they give young people a single digit. If it not happen inside the first 100 days, don't ever trust me. It has been approved. If we are looking for the financial institution to give the money, young people will go there and apply on a single digit. Agriculture, aquaculture, it's the way to go. Let me start to feed yourself. Now, I make His Excellency in the manifesto say, we don't do well in education. We don't do well in this. Let me feed Sierra Leone. And the only way we feed Sierra Leone are young people. We've done a lot. There's progress in agriculture. The mindset of young people will think as entrepreneurs in anything you do in life.
Thank you very much, Mohammed Oman and Khalil, for being a part of the program this morning. This is Wake Up Sierra Leone. We're going on a quick break to get a word from our sponsors, Rokel Commercial Bank, and we'll come back for the second and final segment of the program. We're going to be talking to the Press Secretary, Yusuf Keketo Masandi.
Every day, the world wakes up to you. Millions of people are getting ready for you. For shopping, travel expenses, utility bills, trade, and commerce. If we all have wishes...
Attention. Are you hungry for the latest insights on politics and good governance issues from the motherland, Sierra Leone? Look no further than Talking Points, your go-to platform for engaging discussions. Subscribe today and let your voice surge. Talking Points is where smart minds come alive. Subscribe now. Attention, attention. Are you hungry for the latest insights on politics and good governance issues from the motherland, Sierra Leone? Look no further than Talking Points, your go-to platform for engaging discussions. Subscribe today and let your voice surge. Talking Points is where smart minds come alive. Subscribe now.
Maravilhoso, can't Salone for we are so to go. Maravilhoso, we go vote for you, yeah, so to go. Maravilhoso, we go vote for you, yeah, so to go. Maravilhoso, we go vote for you, yeah, so to go.
AYV International, a truly global media outlet. Our media platforms can be found across the world, including Africa, America, Asia, Europe, Caribbean, the Pacific, and more. Our media services include broadcasting, media production of documentaries, movies, and a wide range of audiovisual services, advertising and public relations, sporting and events coverage, photography, and a reliable media equipment rental unit, as well as media training. Contact us at our International AYV Media Centre, 18 Soho Square, London, United Kingdom, W1D 3QH. Telephone us on 074 967 456 33. Or you can send us an email to ayv.international@ayvnews.com or ayv.international@gmail.com. You can also find us on our social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
All right, welcome back. This is Wake Up Sierra Leone here on AYV Television and Radio. We're still on Facebook, AYV News. That's where you can drop a comment or a question about the program, and we would read out some of them. But in our final segment now, in the studio, we've been joined by Yusuf Keketoma Sandi, who's the press secretary at the Office of the President State House. Keketoma is here this morning to talk about the president's activities and Sierra Leone's international achievements, among other things. Good morning, Keketoma. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Fibian. Good morning, Samuel. And thanks for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, you've not been at AYV in a while.
Yes, I think we've just been going around the country to engage more people about what the president wants to do and for them to give us another 5 years. And it has been successful.
Let's talk about the Office of the Presidency as it stands currently. Campaign season is on. The president wears two hats, a hat of the president of Sierra Leone and the hat of the presidential candidate of Sierra Leone People's Party. How has that played out in the office of the president, drawing the line between the president and the presidential candidate?
Well, I think it's not a new phenomenon. We remember that in 2002, when President Kaba was going for re-elections, he also had the same opportunity. In 2012, where former President Koma also was going for re-election, he had the same opportunity and the privilege. What he has always maintained is to make sure that the campaign has been run by the SLPP. and governance is being run by the president. Now, obviously, like you said, where do you draw the line? It's almost quite blurry because sometimes, so for instance, I'll give you an example. When we were doing a campaign and we had these incidents and threats about people coming to the streets, violence, protests, and a few other things. And immediately when he was talking to the audience, lots of young people in Western AI, he said to them that as commander-in-chief of the Republic of Sierra Leone, people should go out. I have a responsibility to protect lives and property. It's my responsibility, and therefore people should go out on Monday and Tuesday. So it's a very difficult line to draw, but he has always executed it very nicely when it comes to being the candidate. For instance, when he was launching the manifesto, he was the candidate there, telling the people what he wants to do for the next 5 years, his aspirations for the country. And then sometimes when he wants to be the president, act as the president, and he does so effectively as well. So it has not been anything difficult. I'll give you another instance. Last week, we were part of in the campaigns, and then the elections at the Security Council, and the General Assembly was on for Sierra Leone to be part of the Security Council. Immediately after the election results, he addressed the nation in his capacity as president of the Republic of Sierra Leone, because that was a victory for Sierra Leone, and immediately when he finished, the next day we traveled back up country, campaigning again and again and again. So it's tough because obviously campaigns during this time falls in the raining season, so it's affecting all of our voices, but what he has always maintained is that the sovereignty of this country belongs to the people, and it is earned. So which basically means that he has been the most traveled across the country, head of state. He has been to almost every chiefdom in this country. And he always says that for one reason, because he believes that power comes from the people. And you can only engage the people by telling them what you've done when you get to them. So for instance, when we went to Kono, we went to a place very far where it's almost not motorable. And people were asking, this is the first time a sitting head of state has come to this place. We went to places in Pujaun as well. So many places. People normally, this is the first time a sitting head of state has come to this place. But what he normally says to them is this, that if I don't come to where you live, I don't know what your concerns are. I would not know how you're feeling. So it's always better for me as head of state to come to you. So when you speak about a chiefdom, about your issues, I know physically I've seen it and not rely on reported speech. So I think that has been what you have been doing, and it has been very effective, and we're happy so far.
In the office of the president, what are the most recent activities and achievements of the president?
Well, obviously, the most recent one would be the UN Security Council, which I think it's important for many reasons. But I think principally is because it's an affirmation of what the president has always said. By 2018, when the president was taking over, he said to this nation that one of the things he wants to achieve is to make sure that we increase our standing globally in the world. Now, even before the election Security Council, he has effectively done that by being a continental leadership that he has demonstrated as chair of the C10, chair of APRM, and he has also at UN level as well, he has been the co-chair for the Transforming Education Summit. But beyond that, what we now have effectively at Security Council is to make sure that Sierra Leone does not only have a vote, now we have a voice, because the Security Council is the highest decision-making body within the UN system that decides on issues of peace and security globally. So which basically means that if you have your country or you have your head of state who now have a seat together with the big 5 countries and with the other elected countries there, now you are sure that now his opinions matter. Because before now, they were just calling for a vote, but now they're asking for opinions. So for instance, we went to the European Union, and then we spoke to the vice president of the European Council. And effectively in that meeting, what he was saying, because there are issues in the Sahel region about security issues. And he was saying, Mr. President, you have got a wealth of experience. We do not only want you to just tell us about the situation. We also want you to give us solution. What's the way forward with the vast experience? So this has been the type of trajectory the president is moving. So coming to the Security Council now, we are principally talking about peace and security, will mean that some of these issues obviously become more prominent, because the Sahel region is a very critical region because we are a coastal country. So I think that has been one of the biggest achievements we have made recently. But I think also we went to UNIMAC.
Just before you jump to UNIMAC, let's go back to the UN Security Council. You know, the Sierra Leone as a country has the AU's backing in the bid. And so it means that confidence and trust in the country. How would it position the country and the president in pushing an agenda for the continent?
Well, the good thing is that this is the first time you have a member of the Security Council who is also the chair of C10. And the reason why it's important is that you've followed President's speeches many times in the United Nations. Right. When he takes the podium and he speaks about reforming Security Council, believe you me, Samuel, every time all the African delegations, the continent heads, they come to him and say, President, you have spoken for more than 1 billion people. And the reason why people are passionate about it is because we have more than 1 billion people in the continent, but we do not have a permanent seat in the Security Council, which I think it's an injustice, like President always says. So now that he is serving as chair of C10 at the continental level, it now gives him a more powerful voice to speak on the Reform Security Council, because before now, he used to address the General Assembly, but now he will now speak and address the Security Council, which is almost like an enclave of a smaller group of countries who are there. And the reason why that is important is because they make the decision which are critical for the running of the UN. So I think that is why it's important. And for us, I think it's a privilege. And the president said, even in his address, that he was modest, that he is humble and privileged to serve at this time as president. Because it's only a privilege to serve. Because not many heads of state will have this opportunity to serve. You remember the last time we had it was 53 years ago. We have it now, that was during the days of Shaka Stevens. You know, many heads of states have come before now and never had the opportunity. So the fact that he has it now and serve as chair of the C10, I think it's also something very big as well.
Does it bring diplomatic capital to the country itself, looking at how we've been trying to remake the image of Sierra Leone?
Of course, a lot of diplomatic capital. Like I said, even before now, many countries which are in the Security Council would always used to call the president, seek his opinion about issues. But the fact that now he's there, his opinions and his views, they matter. So which basically means that, yes, we're a small country, but now we are one of the most powerful countries in the world. Because at the end of the day, if you have an agenda you want to push forward, you would then now need to canvass Sierra Leone to make sure we are aligned with whatever you're doing. And the reason why that is important as well is that it gives us credibility, even to multilateral institutions where in Security Councils, they know we are credible. And for you to have, out of 192 countries, 188 voting for your country overwhelmingly. I mean, these elections, you do not give countries, you do not pay them, you do not bribe them. The fact that they go there, they vote for you, it means that they have seen your president as a leader. They have seen what he has done in this country. Because we have 7 priorities on peace building, peacekeeping, on small arms, on terrorism, on lots of other things. So they have seen that he has demonstrated his leadership at home, at continental level, and therefore they can be able to repose their confidence and trust in him, that if he gets there, he will effectively manage the position and deliver. And that is what we want to do as well.
What impact does our membership there, though it's a non-permanent membership, what impact does that have on peace and security in Sierra Leone as a country?
Well, firstly, I think Sierra Leone has been a beneficiary of United Nations Security Council resolutions and the support. Because remember, during our war, we have UN peacekeeping mission, which came here, So, and even our post-conflict reconstruction, remember we had UNAMSIL and a few other things. So we have been a testament of what it actually means when you say United Nations, maintaining peace, securing peace across the world. So as a result of that, we have a position where our experience with the leadership of President Bill now as Security Council, will always give us that first-hand nuance in terms of how do we make sure countries across the world maintain peace and security. So for instance, in peace missions, even before we were elected to Security Council, normally we provide personnel from the Salone police to serve in peace missions, okay? Now, that experience also matters. It matters because once you go, for instance, you serve in a contingent in a different country, you're a police officer, you get trained. You have that knowledge, that experience to come back to Sierra Leone, to share with your colleagues, you know, to share with other people. For the present Deputy Inspector General of Police had been head of one of the missions of the UN. So which basically means it tells you that we live in a global world, a global village. So our peace and security is tied as well to the world. Like I said to you about the Sahel region. The Sahel region, we are a coastal country. So which basically means now what is happening in the Sahel is affecting Burkina Faso, all of those countries around there. So which basically means that any of those things can disturb the peace and security of countries around the region. So we are interconnected, we are intertwined. So in essence that maintaining peace and security, whether it's in the sub-region, it's the continent, it's in ECOWAS, will always have an effect on countries across the world.
You wanted to take us to the engagement in UNIMAC.
Oh, yes. So UNIMAC also was very historic. It was the first time as well that the free quality education was almost translated into legislations. Obviously, we enacted the act and we had the symbolic signing by the president in UNIMAC. And the reason why it's important is because, like I normally say, in 2018, before 2018, when president promised that we were going to implement the free quality education, many people never believed because they were questioning these figures. How do you put things together? How do you pay for millions of people? But he believed in it. He said he was going to do it. So when he took up office in August, less than 1 year, we implemented it. But now what we've done is to make sure we legislate in law to make sure that most of these things, so even if you have governments coming 20, 30 years down the line, you know, the law is now prescribing what needs to be done on education. And the reason also why I went to UNIMAC is to also send a clear message that education does not choose color, does not choose politics, does not choose a region, because if it benefits people in McKinney, it's the same importance and impact it will have if it benefits people in Kenema. So I think that is also why President wanted to use an educational institution to send the clearest message that whatever is done is to invest in the human capital of this country. So like he normally says, that when he implemented the free education, it was not for vote. Because remember the kids now who are benefiting from education, probably they have not even reached 18 years. So they probably would not even vote for him. But what he was saying was that because he believes in sustainable development, 5, 10 years, 20 years from now, and how those kids, when they become professionals, how they will then probably support our country, how they will support their families, the trickle down, coming down from that level, that is what he's looking at. Because in the next 10, 20 years, we'll be producing engineers, medical doctors, lawyers from different fields. And that is why every time he goes around to chiefdoms, people are so excited. Because we went to Cambia and there was a paramount chief who said he had about 16 children. If it was not because of free quality education, 8 of those kids would not have benefited and gone back to school. Now, obviously, we're in Freetown, but in those places, they matter a lot. And also, part of that component also is the school feeding program. We also went to one chiefdom, and the section chief was saying, Mr. President, he said, when the kids go to school, when they put their books and their pens, they put their plates and their spoons. Now, what does that mean? It means that they have extra incentive to go to school. So if you have probably kids who would not ordinarily go to school because obviously of hunger or fear other things, but because they know that they will have food, they will have meal in the school, that incentivizes them. So it increases access to education. And those things are very important because at the end of the day, you create access to kids from rural areas. Simple example is President Bio. This is somebody who was born in the village, went to school on barefoot. He lost his father at the age of 4. He had to leave and went to his elder sister in Pujon for education. But today, he is president of the Republic of Sierra Leone. And nothing is responsible for that other than education. So his own story is a story that he wants people to get inspiration from. That if you believe in education, if you go to school, you learn as a young person, the sky is your limit. All of us are sitting there, Fabian, Samuel, myself, because we've been educated. So the same opportunity that he had, even though by then it was not free, but now he wants more kids from rural areas who don't have opportunities to have access to come to school.
When you go around, as you tour the country right now, I mean, meeting these kids, talking to the stakeholders in the different chiefdoms, villages in terms of education, what are they showing in terms of the challenges, and what opportunity does this give the SLPP as a party and the president to be able to respond to those emerging challenges?
Well, I think first thing is that the more you increase enrollment in schools, obviously you have issue about infrastructure. So which basically means you need more classrooms, you need more teachers to go to school, to go and teach the pupils. But over and beyond that, there are many areas, for instance, where they never had, for instance, exam centers. So they had to travel miles to go and take their exams, or probably some had to leave public villages and go and sleep in big towns just to take exams. But now, because of the many components within the free quality education, we are now bringing examination centers close to these kids. But also we are building more classrooms, recruiting more teachers. And the reason why all of those, they tie down to the free quality education is because at the end of the day, for you to have a system that works, you have to cater for many strands of it. School buses, we had 50 of them. Of course, there are not many. You normally go around and you see when, when normally schools close, you see the kids, they are quite packed and cramped in the buses. But what does it mean? It means that now these kids, they are buses and they are discounted prices to go to school. So also it also enables access as well, So many of those components, when you go to villages, to chiefdoms, you hear their messages. And the reason why many are excited is because they would normally say to Mr. President, if it were not for free quality education, my kids would not have been able to go to school. Because, in those areas, they have like probably 10, 15, load of kids. So which basically means that it's a more responsibility and burden on parents to send their kids to school. But with the opportunities that President has created, it gives them more chances as kids to go to school. So I think it's very important as well.
So education, or the free quality education, was the trump card in 2018. And given the government has been acclaimed for having implemented the single most ambitious program since independence. And now your party or the government is saying, if given the opportunity, it would want to put its focus on eradicating hunger. And we know how the monumental abject poverty has been treating Sierra Leoneans. Now, what ways are you looking at as a government to addressing that hunger you think you want to eradicate?
Well, I think firstly, a lot of work has gone into the agricultural sector, because the reason why the president is passionate about feeding Sierra Leone, it's because we have vast arable land. I mean, our country is similar to Vietnam. Vietnam, they had war. But then, because of how they've transitioned from war into a producing country, Vietnam is a different country now. Vietnam is a rice producer now rather than a rice importer country, So which basically means that if we are able to harness the potentials that we have, Sierra Leone, it is not impossible. And the reason why people should have faith is because if you had a president or a candidate before 2018, who many people said it was impossible for you to implement free quality education. Now, like you said, we've implemented it. We've been acclaimed around the world. President now is co-chair, Transforming Education Summit. It basically means that is a testament to show that whatever we want to do, once you have the political will, at the highest level, it can be done. So far, we've done a lot in terms of mechanization. You remember, a couple of years ago, we had over 400 tractors and other implements that we had for agriculture. We've been having youth chiefdom farms as well across the country. We had about 10,000 young people engaging in youth farms, and we have increased rice production.
I'm so sorry to cut you there. We'll come back to continue this in a bit. David Remy Wilson is now at the east end of Freetown. He's at Upgon. He's going to give us an update of what the streets look like this morning. Remy, can you hear us?
Hello? Hello? All right. Thank you very much, Samuel. Thank you very much, and Fabian. We currently there at the country's capital city, Freetown, to be prescribed to the east part of Freetown. This is now Upgon, very busy place. As you can see, everything they right under control presently. This is Akisi Road. From this point, you will see people who go about the normal business at Akisi Road, and you get Ross Road, where normal CDD and people will go about the normal business. And also you see from this Black Road, instead everybody seem for the go about the normal business. And Yana Upgon, very busy and it's still busy because you see people will go about the normal business. They do them top up, people will sell the ice, and people will move about. You see vehicles them, keke man they ride, taxi man they ride, bike man they ride, and forget and daily busy. And we want to talk to the driver. Sure. So let's talk to the driver for 1 minute. What's your name?
My name is Alassane Kamara. I'm a taxi driver. I drive AUE 603.
Okay, so far you don't ride across the country?
I don't ride across the country. I don't go Peninsula, Salone, 4 Mile. So I don't car.
Okay, so what you observe?
What I observe, I see all the country peaceful. All my go by normal business.
Okay.
There is no problem. We all are Sierra Leoneans, we need peace. We don't need fight again. Time for fight to don't pass anything in there. Now when you know say you know one this leader, what time for vote come, we vote against them. But we don't need no riot again, no need no violence. We all are Sierra Leoneans. At least now we come together and make we country and develop them. Also all the money come on our country, we can develop this country. What they have now for develop this country, the country go before. Before America, they become America, they change about 46 presidents. Where you read the history. So the only they want to go to America today, they go to America, and because of they come to one and make a country. So also as Sierra Leone now, we say for come to one and make a country, don't develop let push go before. So that me mention back for today.
All right, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
All right, now one driver I will talk to, we literally don't walk across the country's capital city, don't round Peninsula, and also don't get talk to people them, get the passengers them way according to them, they get conversation, and the whole country is peaceful. The country's capital city is peaceful. Like what the president said a few days ago, current sellers them for go out and do the normal business, no cause for concern. The security in place, and we get so many people. And look at them. You see people that come out for do their business. The madam they sell in water, they sell in drink, and they come out. This young man said they sell into pop as well, and they get every time. So you see this now, Kisi Road, very peaceful. Everybody they go about the normal business, and we want to talk to more people. Everybody seems to go about the normal business. Like they move. And young people in the pass around. People who go about the normal business. This now Black Road, very peaceful. Black Road, very peaceful. And we get to the young man here. Yes. You can tell me your name?
Well, my name Beshe.
Okay, Beshe, what's part of you?
Well, me I dey Wokupa.
Wokupa. How you come from Wokupa?
Well, I use bike now. I use for car. We started doing business Upgon.
Okay, you're not bike rider?
No, me
you
now.
Bike to get your personal bike for yourself?
No, I don't get me personal bike. But on a bike I use transportation. We started can't do business Upgon.
So what? How you don't see?
Well, for now, the present situation and everything okay for now. So no problem right now. So no. What you get for happy next? For now, everybody they go my business now. all man they do in business right now, everything okay. Motor car they run, transportation, everything okay for now.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's another young man who talked to self-expressed in concern and tell you say everything is peaceful. Things are gone. You see the put in the move on him. You know, people don't go about the normal business. You know, people will take put as usual. So the security presence very calm. It's normal. Our security normally they. You see the traffic police them. They're about a normal business. You know, do the normal job. There is no high security presence. That are the good thing. Today there is no high security presence since yesterday. Today everything normal. Ross Road police station, you know, Ross Road very busy, and you see people about and you know get the normal life going, and you know and things will go normal. What are they selling to pop? They selling to pop. What are they sell in Kokumba? They sell in Kokumba. Yeah, few shops them we understand say get for open pretty soon. Some of the people them they on the way they can because of few challenge of transportation, but they're on the way they can do the normal business. So, which is good. Initially, we talked to our young man who is saying said they go for open shop now. That is show say people want for come out for doing the normal business, and they also want for get a piece, you know, and ensure say things going well. Initially, I say the president we don't call on selling us and for go about the normal business and ensure say things go normal. So then at the Upgone, very busy street, and it's still busy today, as you can see from what's happening across the city. Like we don't point several places. You see petrol station they on, the petrol station they in operation, and other places also open. Buses and the ride, you know, cars and the ride across the country. Let's talk to this man. Let's see what's inside that for Terry. Good morning. Good morning. How are you, man?
Fine.
Yes, but I can tell you name you're on live on AYV.
I'm in Tamba, Tennessee.
Okay. Tamba, what you don't observe? You don't I know you don't work at some parts of Freetown. What you don't observe so far?
I understand say Somali sit at home, and we don't understand. We don't know why Somali listen to Adebayo when they tell me they sit at home. Because Adebayo, I don't know if they help Salone people there individually. Because if they help people in this country, and I man they say, more listen to the man. But Adebayo is like they incite people in this country. Right? One million people they do bad at this country. One thing, the man be now God puts out there to me, put out there. They left to me you want man be the win election in this country. But God never put man be the. When you left him and me, I think to the time we go vote in to pull her out. If you want to vote in for her, if you want to vote out for her. But what thing I would say, me Salone they come out, me do the business, no man they call them they do business. Me no follow Adebayo in talk. Everything, man block put this in place. Security, everything they in place. If you promote this business, other man they can attack you. No, you ain't happy at this country again. We don't this country again. Everybody peaceful at this country. We president will get a very peaceful president. I don't think if that man get anybody attention for this country, that man I got put a day. Me in time rich, when I pull a day. But at the end of the say, tell people no more. Make everybody come on and do a normal business. Me wish say man I will put everything in place. Security in order. But I very thankful to AYV and other radio stations the way in the past in the entire country and sensitize people there. Maybe Oma can do a normal business in the country. Say AYV thank you for the good work you do in this nation. Yeah. I tell the plenty thank you. I thank your Navo, the CEO, who don't make this country almost a lot of hypocrisy in play because all from all the work there, the AYV outside of the country in the past and it's turned and he sensitized people there. I thank AYV. I thank the president, Yelosman W, because we have put security in place and it's turned. Because most people turn. Because look at you today, we have a flop. All my day at home. You don't know why. It's like I never give them money or rest for my sit at home. You don't know what type of Salone man or anything. The fella I never over pool in your country, they live life. But why am I in the BF so? Everybody come on at home, everybody doing all my business, they can't do things. You don't think if this country go for go we don't know this country go for go attend or on a map plan back for this country. I beg Salone people there. Everybody come on and do, everybody do normal business, open shop. If you go
All right. Thank you very much, David Remy Wilson, for giving us the atmosphere in the east of the country's capital, how businesses are being run and how people are going about their normal business. We still have with us Yusuf Keketoma, Sunday the press secretary, but quickly let's run through few messages on Facebook. Hassan JJ Yambo is saying, all I know is that Sierra Leone has two opportunities in terms of political choice. Either you vote for SLPP or APC. And all I know for sure is that SLPP is going to continue governance and APC continue opposition till 2070.
Abubakar Rashid says, having a seat as a non-permanent member at the Security Council, congratulations. But coming back home, how does this affect the economy and welfare of the people of Sierra
Attention,
Leone?
attention. Are you hungry for the latest insights on politics and good governance issues from the motherland, Sierra Leone? Look no further than Talking Points, your go-to platform for engaging discussions. Subscribe today and let your voice surge. Talking Points is where smart minds come alive. Subscribe now.
In terms of finance and other areas, our voice will never be heard, but are there to fill the gap.
All right, Lamin Denke is saying, oh, Salone, nothing will change our lives if these politicians can't do the right thing home, like building systems and procedures in governance.
Benjamin Franklin Bright is asking, do these places look normal to you? Is that the Kisiod or Upgon we used to know, see on a normal day? That depends on what you define as normalcy.
All right, let's take at most 3 more messages because of time. James St. Patrick is saying Sierra Leoneans do not even know how President Bio has marketed Sierra Leone this short period he has been in governance. A lot of people want to visit Sierra Leone because of what they are hearing about Sierra Leone through tourism and as part of the countries with potential to break through.
Aja J says, everything's normal because there's no demonstration as was called for. Common sense, my dear.
Mm-hmm. All right. My final message is from Usman Ibrahim Mara. Really interesting to know how the president, Julius Maada Bio, have been performing extremely well as the country's president. Away from him having a voice at the UN, he should also campaign with his fellow heads of state in making sure that the African Union has a permanent seat at the UN Security Council and the G7, the group of 7 leaders.
Shining Light Spores says, this taxi driver gets sense past beaucoup degree holders them.
And interestingly, so many messages on the taxi driver, and one of the
He's
messages
the star of the day.
asking for the contact of the taxi driver. Unfortunately, he was moving, but the good thing is he announced his registration plate, so I think that should be able to help you track him down. Quickly, let's get a reaction from Keketoma.
Well, I think there are 2 things I need to react to. Firstly, I think somebody was saying, how does the Security Council been there? How does it benefit Sierra Leone? Obviously, I spoke about what President said before he took up office about international credibility, which I think is very important. But also, because of that credibility, multilateral institutions, international financial institutions, you are more credible now in their eyes. You know, they respect you more. And then in terms of support to many of the programs that you're doing, you have more support. So for instance, part of our 7 priorities, we have women issues, youth issues, all of those things. So, when you have multilateral organizations, they'll give you more support on some of those issues. Now, on the issue of the Monday and the Tuesday, that was, made to be as if it was one of those days where everything was just going to fall apart in the country. I think we have to look more than just Adebayo, because I think the important thing is that Sierra are smart people, but Adebayo does not speak on his own. He relies on a network of people who gives him information from Sierra Leone because he's in Holland. Beyond the information, he also relies on people who are financing him for whatever he's doing. And I think that is where we have to have the broader conversation in terms of those people who are financing Adebayo, who are his network on the ground, for us to make sure that the security sector, political parties, they come very hard on them. And it's clear because we also know Adebayo clearly supports APC. And in May last month, when you have the candidates, when we signed the Commonwealth Peace Pledge, the first thing that they signed was that they were going to publicly condemn any incitement on the use of social media. So we are still waiting for Dr. Samuel Kamara and the leadership of the APC to publicly condemn Adebayo with all the audios that he has made that has led us to this point. Because that is what is part of responsible leadership.
All right.
Because at the end of the day, when Adebayo makes all of those audios, clearly is against the government, against SLPP, but clearly is propagating the APC and propagating Samuel Kamara. So they should disassociate themselves from Adebayo publicly. And we wait to see that as well.
Thank you, Yusuf Kekotoma. Quickly, because of time, let's run over to our studio to join Ransford McLean for the latest in sports. Ransford, good morning.
Attention, attention.
Good morning to
Are you hungry for the latest insights on politics and good governance issues from the motherland, Sierra Leone? Look no further than Talking Points, your go-to platform for engaging discussions. Subscribe today and let your voice surge. Talking Points is where smart minds come alive. Subscribe now.
Are contesting. But two of the three candidates vying for the position, for the chairmanship position, have expressed optimism of attaining the position. They noted that a transformation of Kono District Football Association will be their top agenda, and also both District Football Association also been postponed. And finally, to football, the FC Salone, a young lad, that's Daniel Karim, goal against All Edwardian Football Club, have earned them 3 points to maintain their place in the second spot in the ongoing Sierra Leone Premier League. They expressed excitement to AYV for banging the Man of the Match award, noting that it is due to teamwork and dedication. And the league 5 more games so teams to honor to mark the end of the Sierra Leone Premier League. That's all for sports. And back to you, Phoebe Swill and Semmelweis Bangra in our main studio.
Thank you very much, Ransford McLean, for the sports update. Well, this is what would end today's edition of Wake Up Sierra Leone. Our quote for today says, "We have
Attention,
given tears
attention.
and blood for our
Are you
country. What I ask you to give Sierra Leone now is sweat and honesty." And that's a quote from late President of Sierra Leone, President Ahmad.
Attention, attention. Are you hungry for the latest insights on politics and good governance issues from the motherland, Sierra Leone? Look no further than Talking Points, your go-to platform for engaging discussions. Subscribe today and let your voice surge. Talking Points is where smart minds come alive. Subscribe now.